Hi, and welcome to Real Trail Talk. I'm Mark Pybus from The Life of Pi, and with me today I've got Jamie Bennett from Outdoors WA. Welcome, Jamie.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so as some of you may have noticed already, Donovan is not with us. He is over east. It's been quite a busy time for both of us, and this is the only time we could really get a podcast out and recorded for when it is being released.
Lucky me, mate.
Yeah, so you get me and Jamie for the whole pod. So the reason we have Jamie in at this specific moment, it is a timing issue. It is Outdoors October at the moment.
We're right in the middle of it. Well, we're at the beginning, so yeah.
Yep, and it's an initiative where you're just kind of trying to encourage people to get outdoors and have a big social media campaign, a big print media campaign to, get people out.
That's right, mate, and even on TV this year, in fact. So, it's wonderful to start to see people that are getting up, getting active and, thinking about where they're going to go outdoors and, particularly maybe what trail they're going to pick and get adventurous.
It's a great time of year for it. When did the idea for Outdoors WA form?
Yeah, so roughly 5 years ago, we're thinking of, what can we do to promote more people getting outdoors itself? How can we encourage more people to be out there adventuring? And of course, this is the end of the year when footy's wrapping up and people are thinking there's sort of a transition between sports. We'd run a number of things, come and try this day or come and try that day. And a lot of clubs do that sort of stuff this time of year. So we're thinking, well, why don't we have a month? Why don't we just pick a month, and our October's a perfect month. So we'll create Outdoors October as a month-long set of activities, and we've, curated it into a calendar. It's over 100 events. We so roughly started off with about 15 community organisations that came on board. So people that, like Paddling WA and Bushwalking WA and Billman Track Foundation, those sort of community groups, and then just grew from there.
Well, we certainly got the alliteration going for you. It's a great month for it. How can people get involved and kind of what you talked about events? What kind of events are there for them to engage in?
Yeah, so the first step, I guess like most things where you're going to go out adventuring is to plan. So we'd encourage people to go to the Outdoors October website, www.outdoorsoctober.com.au, and so they go to the calendar there. There's over 100 events that are happening across the month. So you can pick the week view and then you can see a whole range of events that are happening there. So, and you can sort by, is it a family event or is it an expo or a training event, that sort of thing. So there's some fantastic things that are out there for groups. So there's camping opportunities that are coming up. There's bushwalking opportunities that are coming up. There's survival courses, all sorts of things, paddling, you name it. And there'll be both an event that's out there and there's likely to be connected then to a group that provides those things. So our hope is that people connect to that in Outdoors October, and that should be the beginning of their adventures.
So you mentioned there's lots of groups and this year being the 5th year. What's the support been like and what can we expect for the rest of the month? Do you know any kind of big events coming up on the calendar?
Well, I certainly know. So coming up, Coldie's got a big adventure race coming up, and we know, in fact, there's a lot of development happening down there. Some great mountain biking tracks that have just been put in, and so I know the Coldie community is looking forward to people coming down there and using those. There's trail racing happening down in Albany soon, and for people that are just sort of thinking, how do I start to get out there, we'd encourage them just go along and have a look. Go along and find a trail to participate in and start thinking about connecting up to some of those groups and opportunities. Yeah,
because being outdoors doesn't really restrict you to one particular activity. There's a whole load out there.
No, that's right, mate. Yeah. So, and that's what I think. We've tended to find that some people love one particular activity, so they might be, dead set mountain bike passionate. But often, they'll do that for a number of years and they think, I want to try something else. So, I might want to try and go a bit of bushwalking, something like that. And those opportunities are easily accessible to people. So, or they might start out with that. We're just going to start out walking and then we want to, we're going to walk up into some hilly terrain. How do I get climbing? And I might want to go and hook up with the WA Climbing Association and get out there with them. So, it's just every little step is a step closer to, being a passionate outdoors person.
Yeah, and I suppose, having Outdoors October and getting everyone involved kind of gives the opportunity to go and try something new.
Yeah, so we've got community groups involved, we've got commercial providers involved who can provide those experiences, we've got stores involved, so there's a number of retail providers that have stepped up and said, look, we want to get behind you, how do we support that as a project? Yeah.
And obviously, having been an ambassador last year for Outdoors
I know,
October,
mate, you're passionate on the social media space.
Yeah, they're a big part of the promotion. Can you tell me a little bit about the 2018 ambassadors and what they've contributed to spreading the message?
I can, yeah. So we've got 10 this year, mate. So we've sort of ramped it up a bit from previous years, but they're a very diverse group. We've got people like Jen Wardle, who's with Rock and Roll Mountain Biking. I'm sure there's outdoors people that know her from up in the Camel Farm. And Jen's just such a passionate ambassador. We first picked her up because she submitted a photo of her out mountain biking with her kids. And we said, oh, this is fantastic. Who is this mum? Little did we know that, she's heart and soul behind mountain biking in Western Australia with rock and roll. So people like Melina, she's a Perth Trail Series trail runner.
Yeah, we've had Melina on before.
Yeah, so she's, how excited she is to get people out there on trails, preferably moving a little bit faster than I do.
Yeah.
But, very excited to do that in that sort of stuff. Belinda Freep is another one, and she's an outdoor ed teacher. So when we first kicked off Outdoors October, it starts in the holidays, but pretty quick, you're back at school. And we've been watching a number of outdoor ed teachers that are just, really pumping there and getting their students up and out. And why not? This is fantastic weather for that sort of stuff. So I've got other people like Dr. Michael Crouch, who's a mate of mine, and we just went paddling on the Blackwood together, in fact, and just spectacular down there with this weather that we're having at the moment. The weekends are perfect for that short drive out of Perth, whether it's walking, paddling, whatever. So that's just a handful of our ambassadors, mate. Yeah.
And Steve Sertis, who we've had on the pod a few times. Can't go without mentioning Steve.
We're picking up all they're just too many good people out there. So Steve is fantastic, Mr. Bilberman Track himself, and absolutely passionate about training other outdoor leaders, absolutely passionate about connecting to people in ways that both assist them in getting outdoors, but also developing their skills. So he's, Steve's, I guess, a classic example of one of those people that really works at developing outdoor leaders, but also runs things like how to cook, how to navigate, all those that are great skills that if you improve incrementally, you're just going to enjoy that time outdoors more and more. So, first thing is just to get a taste for it, and then there's those sort of opportunities to build on your skills. There's always a new challenge in the outdoors. So there's no excuse if you think, I'm a bit bored with one thing, to not go and tackle something else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Steve's a great resource to the Bilberman Track Foundation and just the outdoors community in general.
They're very fortunate.
Yeah. So with these ambassadors, it would be criminal not to launch without a launch party. And you were fortunate enough to have the top floor of the Cedar Summit headquarters.
Yeah. So
tell us
building. That's right. So Cedar Summit, what a fantastic brand. They're exporting product all around the world, that is making life easier for us that are hoping to get outdoors. And we had over 40 people, outdoors people from the outdoors community up there on the roof. And, the great thing there, people were, sharing their ideas for what they're going to do in Outdoors October and making a pledge for that. We had one of our ambassadors, Rob McSporran, who looks after marketing. He was the host, I guess, for the evening. And then we had a couple of people. So Jen spoke and talked about her experience and how she initially thought that her, mountain biking business was going to be a coffee shop. So it's come a long way from that. That's right, yeah. And we had Henry Kelsey, so from Wilderness Equipment, speak as well. So, and he's a young, absolute, fired up about getting both people outdoors, and he spoke about some of his own experiences in camping. But he's fired up about how do we get more people outdoors, and I guess in terms of the equipment development, how do we develop stuff that people are going to use? You know, and is going to stand the test of time. So you're not having to buy something because it's broken. You can pick that gear up and work with it. And so he's passionate, you know, about getting outdoors, testing gear, and getting more people out with him. So, you know, it's great to have ambassadors like that can share their story.
And we've spoken about ambassadors and a whole lot about Outdoors October, but do you want to give us a little bit about yourself and how you became involved in Outdoors WA?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I've always been excited about getting outdoors from being a little kid. So I used to go up in the hills, you know, picnicking with mum and dad, that sort of thing. And my family originally came from Victoria. So the other sort of place that I've scooted around with my dad's side of the family is the Grampians. Yeah. So some, you know, wonderful little mountains there tucked away in rural Victoria. As a kid, you know, getting around, and I was fortunate to hook up with other kids in the outdoors and then lead on some school holiday programs that were down the Stirling Ranges. It was, I guess, a steep learning curve down there, wandering in and out of those mountains, and still a favourite place for me. So from that, I sort of had a passion for the outdoors and started to, you know, work in that space. So I've freelanced around and done some work in community development, and I was fortunate to also be a lecturer when TAFE was running outdoor recreation courses. So I got to be a lecturer for students in the Diploma of Outdoor Recreation. And that's where, you know, really when you got 20, 25 students running around in the bush with, you know, a whole different heap of providers supporting us, you start to really get a handle on what the sector's all about. I did a stint in local government, and then the opportunity came up at Outdoors WA. So they're looking for an executive that could step in there and support the sector and be prepared to answer questions all over the shop. So, you know, my day involves people might, you know, ring me up from the country saying, you know, I need some information about, you know, this bushwalking site or a campsite, through to people in government ringing me up and saying, we need some policy input around stuff. So very diverse background to get me where I am. Yeah, I've been doing that for 6 years now, and I guess no day's the same, but it's a very exciting and fulfilling role to be a representative for outdoors people and know that, you know, there's thousands and thousands of passionate people out there of whom, you know, I champion them during a project like Outdoors October.
Yeah, you certainly are a great asset to the community, and your passion really shows through when you do
Thanks,
speak.
mate.
Yeah. I'm going to put you on the spot here. And
Yeah.
What's your favourite trail? Could be WA, could be overseas, interstate.
Yeah, there's a few favourite spots, but definitely the Stirling Ridge Walk for me is a favourite space, and it's one of those testing environments. You can go up one day and the bit of a slog up the stairs if you're going up from Bluff Knoll itself, and you can turn around that corner and just get blown off your feet, you know, with the weather coming across from Albany. So that's a very exciting spot, especially now, or, you know, winter time, and this year we've had snowfall, you know. I've been privileged to be up there myself, and snow's come in, and then I've been up there when it's much colder, too cold and wet for the snow. Yeah. And you're just thinking, what am I doing up here? Just hang on to a big rock so you don't get blown away. So there's that, and I guess the other spot, and I'm sort of giving it away, I have been this October, and that's the little walk from the Treetop Walk out to Giant's Hut on the Bilman track is a great spot that's accessible to anybody, even if you just want to walk through there for a picnic. Yeah. Those big, you know, grandma and granddaddy tingle trees through there are magic. So I'd encourage people that they might have been to the Treetop Walk, but few people realise that there's a great little walk just, you know, half an hour or so down the track to the hut, and you can have a picnic or stay overnight. So it's great.
With the increase in technology use within society, do you think people, and particularly kids, having a background working with kids, do you see them wanting more of a connection with the outdoors?
Yeah, I've got, you know, nieces and nephews, and my kids are a bit bigger, but I think it's one of the challenges, I guess, of our age at the moment, that technology provides us with so much connectivity and access to stuff, but it sometimes can get in the way of connecting to people, you know? So I think the outdoors provides a great opportunity for that to happen. So I think in terms of connection, you know, we encourage people to share their experiences on social media, to share that there's some amazing places that people can go and can get to, and especially if you've built up some skills in those areas. But sometimes it's how you just need a digital detox. So when you're actually out on the trail, that's often a good time to turn your technology off or put your phone into airplane mode or whatever, and just take that time to enjoy that space, you know. So it's a balance, I think, is the key for that. And for kids, and especially I notice it with my little niece and nephew, that they often can feel that they have to be attached to the screen all the time. Research is telling us that if you want to detox your brain, it takes about 3 days. So you get to that third day in the outdoors and you suddenly start to feel, I don't have to be connected to that. You know, and that can be, your brain starts to reset. That can be a great experience for people. And I think it should be part of every kid's, childhood. And we should do more of it in terms of that. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly doing the town-to-town sections of the Bill, and I'm happy I'm with Vodafone for some reason, because I don't get receptions. There's no need to put my phone
just
off
drops
flight
out.
mode.
That's right.
Yeah. So you kind of get that disconnect, and you can enjoy what's around you rather than always being looking at your screen. But I guess the other reason for technology and having that to also connect with nature is the apps that they've got, where you see a flower and there's now an app where you can point it at it and it'll tell you. So I think that space is growing. I think that's a good way to combine both technology and nature.
There's some great apps out there. Yeah, that's right. And there's one launched earlier this year. It was just about frogs. So you can hear all those noises, but now you can easily identify, what sort of frog is it, and what type of, where's it hiding in the bush, that sort of thing. So I think it can really enhance the experience, as long as you're not tied to it. You're thinking, or the worst thing is people can become over-reliant when the battery stops, and they suddenly, are fearful. It's like, I don't know where I am now.
Yeah.
So
certainly where the navigation skills come into
it.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Yeah. And you mentioned before, it takes 3 days to detox, and studies have shown that the time spent in green spaces really improves quality of life and really helps. I think it was Mental Health Awareness Day today or yesterday. Really helps them with those issues. What do you think the biggest challenge in today's society is for not getting outdoors enough?
Yes, I think you're right. All that mental health stuff is really positive. We know there's endorphins, chemicals in the brain get released, which is positive for mental health. Whilst I've said it's 3 days to reset your brain, and we know that other research says that enhances creativity, 5 minutes in nature is good for you, So the fishermen have got it right. And that's why it's called fishing. You stand there looking out at the ocean is really good for you, And fishing is just an excuse to do that. We need more excuses to get outdoors, I think is part of our challenge. So I've looked at some of that research. People are all time poor, so we try and cram so much into our life, and often the outdoors, to gain some of those experiences, you have to carve out time. I think what we realise, though, is when you do that, you gain a massive reward, So once people go, I'm going to spend a week, or 3 days on a trail somewhere, you suddenly go, why didn't I do more of this? It's a process of starting to plan that. And so one of our things that we know that is how do you make those things easier for people? So I think there's been some great work in that happening with, sites like Trails WA, putting up accessible information. The podcast, people listening to go, I can gain some more information, and I don't have to be tromping around the bush for decades to gain some of that stuff. So it's about that first planning step, I think, and it probably begins with you just open the front door and start walking down to your park.
Yeah, or even your lunch break at work, just going and sitting down at the park. I know in the city there used to be one at Central Park right down the stairs, and I don't think I ever really used it as much as I should.
That's it, So people, once we start that, we start to crave nature. I think one of the things in Perth and for Western Australia, we're so spoiled. We have often the best weather that we forget that if people in the UK or elsewhere, didn't get out in our worst weather, they'd never get out.
Yeah. Well, some of our worst weather is some of their best weather.
Their best weather. That's right. Yeah. So they're going, wow, we wish it was, like this in summer. you know. So, and we get to choose. We have the biggest state. You can choose whichever weather you like. So, Walpole is great in summer. You know, there's no you don't want to be necessarily walking too far in the hills up here in the stinking heat, but you can travel, short drive down to areas where you can go, oh, weather's fantastic, away I go again.
Or even the converse, if you don't like the winter weather, you can drive up north. And
that's exactly right.
Tons up there.
And there's a big tribe of grey nomads and others that, sort of follow that weather to enjoy that, just enjoy that experience. So, and I think that's it. You just got to create that time. And certainly the retirees that I've met, a lot of them, that's their focus now. They want to enjoy that outdoors time because they're suddenly reminded, oh, I forgot to do that. Outdoors October is trying to remind people, don't forget to do that. You don't have to wait until you're retired.
Well, I think that used to be the mentality. I think it's getting less of a focus these days of I have to work really hard and then I'll enjoy it in my retirement. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. You can go on the weekend adventures and even, after work in summer, there's still plenty of sunlight.
So I must admit, that's right. So yesterday afternoon I did take a break and I was on the Canning River going for a paddle there. And because our days are getting longer, it's a perfect opportunity to do that, and you can get out and, we saw the birds sitting on the rock and, that sort of stuff. So it's perfect. And there wasn't so many paddlers, but there was a lot of people out jogging and walking the dog, and they're all part of Outdoors October.
Yeah, no, exactly. Having 2 dogs, I do enjoy the afternoon walks. And during winter when it gets a bit dark, you kind of miss that. So, it's lucky that winter is hiking season. I can get out on the weekends.
Dogs are a great reminder, because they will sit at the door and when you come home, they're going, it's time to get outdoors, and it's like you can try and sit in front of the TV and they'll be like looking at you.
Yeah, they know.
Come on.
I don't know how to read a clock, but I know it's time to get outside.
Right. Come on, Mark, it's time to go.
Speaking of getting, people outdoors and maybe they don't know the time or they don't know the activity to do, what's some advice that you would give someone that wants to be a little more active but doesn't have either that confidence yet or know where to go?
Yes, I think, like I was saying, the first step is just to get outside. With a lot of higher level activities, you need some fitness. So you want to be able to confident to know, I can walk down the park, I can walk back. And same with those other sort of activities. If you're in the water, it's probably a good idea to, be able to swim a few strokes. So, the first steps are often the simplest one. Go down to your local park, go for a walk around there. Think, I want to extend myself a bit. Is there a national park nearby? And we have some fantastic national parks, So John Forest as a national park is perfect to drive there. Some fantastic trails in there that are really accessible to people. So get out and have a go at that. If you're thinking of, going for a paddle, there's places that on the Swan where you can just, rent a canoe, rent a kayak and go for a paddle. Or just go down and go for a swim. Start to get, confident with that and think, okay, so what's the next step? There are clubs and organisations that if you want to join up, they have passionate people in there. The reason they're part of that club or organisation is because they want to share those skills. So they're a really easy way. Just knock on their door and there's organised people that are happy to welcome you in. And I think that part of that challenge is just to know those people are around your from the corner from you. So step out and get in contact with them and you'll suddenly find, there's a whole community of people I didn't know about.
Yeah.
But they are really keen to introduce me to these opportunities. So partly some of our stuff is trying to promote people to just think outside that box, Yeah,
as you say, just that first step and first experience.
The first step's the hardest one, and often it's once you experience that, and I've seen it, just climbing up Bluff Knolls, people who've, got up there and suddenly gone, this is a different world. It's like, welcome to this world, welcome to the outdoors world.
Yeah.
You now can be part of it, and you can do this for as young and as old as you are, so you can start it as, as a kid, or you can start it at 75 and there's still a great world of experience out there.
So we've mentioned social media quite a lot. How can people get online and participate in Outdoors October with not necessarily going to events and doing that.
So you're right. We do have a couple of things that we're getting people to do. So one is if they're planning something, they can make a pledge. So we've got a pledge form there. You can pledge what will you be doing in Outdoors October. So it's a good start, we know, for people with their own behaviour. It's like if you say, yeah, I promise I'm going to go bushwalking, you make that promise to someone else, or with someone else, they're much more likely to get out and make sure that you do it. So that's a simple thing. The other thing is we're running a photo competition for people under the Outdoors October hashtag. So, we're encouraging people, whatever their adventures in WA, because we want them to share some of their experiences so other people can see what's going on, to get up there on Instagram, in their own social media space, and share under that hashtag. So, put in where you are and, that you're having a great time, what your experience is about. And we're running a competition for that. So they could win some prizes at the end of the month around that. So we've got the guys from the Bibbulmun Track. They've put up a prize for a Star Trek walk. So, go out and that's another thing, isn't it? At this time of year, perfect opportunity to just be looking up at 1 million stars that are there.
I have to clarify that is looking at the stars. It's not getting dressed up as a Star Trek character.
That's right, mate. No, it's not everyone dressed in the Star Trek gear. Yeah.
I can actually imagine Steve walking around with a little set of Spock ears on. He'd fit the part quite well.
He'd be up for that. We'll mention that. And other stuff that's happening in the outdoors. So Off the Beaten Track are going to do, they've got a sunset yoga hike experience on offer. And that's another one of those things that we're seeing happening at the moment where people are blending different experiences. So it might be cooking in the outdoors, might be yoga in the outdoors, a number of those sort of experiences that you just go, I didn't naturally think those things were going together, but they're broadening people's experience in the outdoors. So, we encourage people to be part of the photo competition under that hashtag Outdoors October. But, if you go to the website, you can see, there's different things that I hadn't really thought about that go really well together in the outdoors, and you get a new perspective on stuff. So, yoga in the outdoors, do it.
Yeah, no, certainly. I've been on one of Tracy's Pilates hikes. And
it's
very relaxing way to end a bushwalk, I'd have to say. When you're out in nature, just a different relaxation experience. Like just the act of bushwalking is relaxing, but then, slowing down and taking in some Pilates or some yoga, it certainly adds to the experience.
I think as the more steps you take into nature, the better you feel, And some of it is, it's not even about nature itself. It's providing that opportunity to connect with other people, So you're travelling that journey, you're actually physically travelling that journey together. Yeah. So often, we work in environments where, we're disconnected from people, we're, screen focused. So just getting into the outdoors, walking alongside someone can just provide that opportunity to get to know people, and that enhances our well-being.
I always thought it was funny, when you go, especially out hiking and you get to a campsite and you just automatically talk to everyone.
Yeah.
Whereas if you walked into a cafe and someone's sitting down having a coffee, you don't go and join them.
No, well, now that you find them trapped on a screen, mate. Yeah.
It's an amazing thing, the outdoors. And finally, just to wrap things up, what's your personal Outdoors October pledge?
Well, I did pledge that I was going to go paddling, so I was fortunate on the weekend. I ticked that off. That's right, paddling on the Blackwood, and encourage people to go down there. We just paddle outside Bridgetown, and I know that the Bridgetown Caravan Park, you can hire canoes from there, so a great opportunity to do that. Yeah, the other things I guess I'm looking forward to doing in Outdoors October is just getting out in the swag a bit, just roll it out and, just camp under the stars and just enjoy the moments that are there and, spend more time with family and friends in the outdoors.
That's really what it's all about. Do you have any special spots that you're going to go to?
Well, that'd be telling, Mark. So
we'll leave that a secret. Then we'll wait for it to go on the Outdoors October.
I know,
hashtag.
Mate, but I couldn't go past without asking you what's going to be your pledge for Outdoors October.
My pledge for Outdoors October is to enjoy a different part of the country. So off to Victoria and Tasmania and taking in some colder weather.
Well, one of our ambassadors, Sue, she's heading overseas to run a camel tour in Morocco.
That'll be interesting.
So, I think that's the amazing thing is once you get a passion for the outdoors and some of those skills, you can connect to people all over the world, and you just start here in WA and connect to the globe, so you can adventure wherever. And I think what we're encouraging people to do is just to take those first steps, and then out you go. Yeah. That's it. Just keep going.
Yeah, certainly when I'm going on a holiday that's not necessarily trails related, I'm always Googling where can I go outdoors when I get to a place just to escape some of the cities.
And we're fortunate, we've got some very passionate people out there, both working, in terms of the outdoors, developing people, developing events, trail development. What we've seen through Outdoors October is bringing those people together to work collaboratively. We can have a much stronger voice in trying to influence the people around us to understand why these strange outdoors people are out there. And when they come with us, they enjoy it. It's good for their well-being. It's good for the economy, and it's great fun. That's the key.
Yeah, it is. You brushed on the economy there, and it's that thing where you have a big event like Outdoors October and you can get numbers and you can quantify how many people are getting out there, and then that then shows, actually we need some more money for trails, or we need some more money for advertising and apps and everything. And really
so some of the numbers just from the events, we know there's over 20,000 people connected to events, up, active and out there in October. And we've been doing some research with Marsden and Jacobs and Skills IQ recently to identify that the nature-based economy in WA is worth over $2 billion to our economy. Wow. So it's not small numbers that that we're talking about in terms of people getting outdoors, and there's many positive benefits that flow on from that. So the more that we can do to get more people out there, we diversify our economy. And the great thing with that is it moves them off from that money out of the city out into those regional areas as well, where that money gets spent many times over in their little communities. So whether you're, on the Billman track, walking through a community, purchasing your stuff as you go, or you're in a 4-drive and you're heading up north for a fishing trip and, fueling up at each fuel stop and, doing your overnight accommodation. All the way through there, there are opportunities for people to both spend money, which supports the economy, but also connect with other people that are adventuring together. So it's a winner all the way around.
It is. I'm looking forward to WA taking advantage of our natural assets and diversifying away from mining and everything else.
Well, that's right. We know there's plenty of big holes out there. And, I've spoken to a lot of mining people that often do fly in, fly out work. And one of the things, they come often to the end of a contract and they think, I wish I'd got out more from where I was, because within this area that I've been working, there's some fantastic camping. And one of the things sometimes they do is they then go, I've got a break now. I've got to bring the family back, So if there's one thing I'd encourage for some of those mining groups is keep your workers up there for a week and bring the family up, so they can get out there and just see some of the amazing terrain and amazing places, some of the gorges up north, some of the creeks, some of the artwork, dating back thousands and thousands of years that are tucked away in Western Australia.
All right, well, thanks very much for coming in, Jamie.
Mate, it's my pleasure. So, yeah, that's right. So, as we say in Outdoors October, go on, get outside.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to go on and get outside, there is the events page on the Outdoors October website, which is www.outdoorsoctober.com.au.
That's right.
And if you want to tag any of your outdoor adventures on social media, the Outdoors October hashtag.
That's it, hashtag Outdoors October.
Yep, and we encourage everyone just to get out and enjoy it.
We're looking forward to seeing you out there.
Yep. All right. Thanks very much, Jamie.
Thank you, Mark.
See you in 2 weeks with the first part of our guide to Fitzgerald River National Park.